The trailer for Lioness Season 3, Episode 4 just landed, and it opens with a line that stops you cold. Jo chained up, staring down her own captors, telling them flat out that she'll kill every single one of them before they get the chance to kill her. Episode 4 is titled Murder Hornets, and if that title sounds violent, the preview footage makes it clear that's exactly the point. Episode 3 revealed just how deep this infiltration actually goes. Now the trailer for Episode 4 is showing us what happens when Jo decides to stop hiding from that infection and start smoking it out on purpose. So let's break down everything the trailer for Episode 4 is telling us. This is a full breakdown of the official trailer and released preview material for Lioness Season 3 Episode 4 Murder Hornets ahead. If you'd rather go in blind, this is your exit. She's chained to a bed, outnumbered, and still the one making threat. That should terrify whoever's holding her. Let's start with the title, because once you connect it to what we already learned in Episode 3, it clicks fast. Alexandra didn't just admit to being caught in the middle of this conspiracy. She handed over an entire file exposing how deep Russian influence has actually burrowed into American institutions. We're talking a school district superintendent, journalists, low-level government staffers, and 5 sitting U.S. senators all compromised in some way. That's not a leak, that's an infestation. And Murder Hornets is exactly the kind of title you reach for when your plan isn't to quietly remove a threat. It's to deliberately disturb the whole nest and see what comes swarming out in a panic. Jo didn't just find a mole. She found a hive, and this trailer suggests she's about to kick it. It's worth sitting with just how large that hive really is before moving on, because the scope of it is what makes this episode's title land the way it does. A single compromised official is a scandal. A network stretching from a school district all the way up to 5 sitting senators is something closer to a functioning parallel government, quietly steering decisions from the inside without anyone realizing it's happening. That's the kind of infiltration you don't fix with one arrest or one exposed contact. You fix it by forcing every single piece of it into the light at once, which is exactly why kicking the nest, rather than picking it apart one hornet at a time, seems to be the strategy this season is building toward. The official preview line for this episode is short but tells you a lot. A desperate search kicks off as the clock runs out, while back home, Neil is left trying to hold himself together under mounting dread. That first half lines up with where Episode 3 left us. Jo was strapped down somewhere off the grid, her captors clearly in no hurry, using slow, deliberate methods to break her down rather than anything quick. If the team is racing against time in Episode 4, that almost certainly means they can't wait on official channels anymore. Given how compromised parts of the government already appear to be, up to and including sitting senators going through normal bureaucratic backchannels to locate Jo isn't just slow, it's actively dangerous. Anyone she reports to could, in theory, be one of the names in Alexandra's file. That leaves Cruz, Kyle, and the rest of the QRF team with one real option. Go around the system entirely, lean on black market contacts and unauthorized methods, and find Jo themselves before anyone with a badge and a compromised loyalty gets in the way. It would be easy to treat Neil's arc as the emotional side dish to all the tactical urgency, but I think that undersells what the show's actually building with him. Episode 3 already showed us how far this family's normal life has eroded. School runs turned into evasive driving maneuvers, every outing now shadowed by a security detail. Neil struggling with growing fear at home isn't just about missing his wife. It's about a man watching his children grow up inside a level of surveillance and danger most families never have to imagine, with no real say in any of it. If the show keeps leaning into that side of the story the way it has been, expect Neil's fear to eventually curdle into something closer to resentment, not just at the danger itself, but at how little control he's ever actually had over his own family's safety. If trailer breakdowns like this one are what keep you coming back, subscribe to Movie Break and turn on notifications so you catch the full Episode 4 review the moment it's live. Here's the part of this setup that genuinely worries me. According to what's been revealed heading into this episode, Jo's answer to discovering just how compromised the system is isn't to quietly investigate. It's to deliberately force the infiltrators into exposing themselves. That's an aggressive, high-risk strategy, and it fits with everything Kaitlyn's been building toward as well, given her own comment back in Episode 3 about hunting mice by setting the barn on fire. Burning the whole structure down to flush out a handful of rats works, but it's rarely clean, and it almost never stays contained to just the people you're actually targeting. If 5 sitting senators are compromised, forcing that conspiracy into the open isn't just dangerous for Jo's team. It's the kind of move that could destabilize an entire branch of government if it goes even slightly wrong. You don't smoke out murder hornets without getting stung. The question is how many people get hit before this is over. The trailer doesn't shy away from showing us Jo's current situation, and it's grim, bound to a metal bed frame and being worn down with slow, deliberate methods while her captors simply watch and wait. That's a different kind of threat than anything we've seen from this show before. It's not a firefight. It's not an extraction gone wrong. It's patient, calculated psychological pressure, which tells you whoever's holding her isn't in a rush and isn't worried about being found. Combine that with Jo's own defiant threat from the trailer's opening line, and you get a picture of someone who understands she's outmatched physically, but is refusing to let that show. Whether that's genuine resolve or a bluff meant to buy herself time, it's clear Jo isn't planning on waiting quietly for a rescue. It's also worth asking what role Alexandra plays going forward now that she's handed over information this explosive. If her file is accurate, she just became one of the most valuable and most dangerous people in the entire entire operation, valuable because she's the reason Joe's team even knows where to start looking, and dangerous because anyone she named now has every reason to want her silenced permanently. Depending on how episode 4 plays this out, Alexandra might end up needing just as much protection as Joe does, and if the show is smart, that parallel won't go unnoticed by either character. There's also a version of this episode where the biggest threat isn't Joe's captors at all, but the fallout from her own team's plan working exactly as intended. Forcing that many powerful people to react out of panic at the same time is a strategy that only holds together if the team can control what happens next, and nothing about this season so far suggests control comes easily to anyone involved. A senator with something to lose doesn't just quietly step aside once exposed. They fight, they call in favors, and they use whatever leverage they still have left before it's gone. If even one of those 5 names decides to strike back rather than fold, Joe's team could end up facing a second front they never planned for, right as they're trying to bring her home. Everything about this trailer suggests Murder Hornets is going to be one of the tensest hours of the season, not because of a single set piece, but because of how many fronts are opening up at once. Joe's fighting for her life in captivity. The team is racing to find her while trusting almost no one in the official chain of command. Neil is quietly reaching a breaking point at home. And somewhere in Washington, 5 senators and an unknown number of other compromised officials are about to realize their names are already circled. My biggest question heading into this one is how far the show is actually willing to go with the senator storyline, because naming that many high-level officials as compromised is a bold swing, and how it pays off is going to say a lot about where this season is really headed. That's everything the trailer for Lioness Season 3, Episode 4 is telling us. Let me know in the comments who you think gets exposed first once the nest gets kicked, and whether you think Joe makes it out before her team even finds her. Subscribe to Movie Break so you catch the full Episode 4 breakdown the moment it drops. Thanks for watching.